In this video, we'll aim to link what we learnt about multiplication in the context of a one-to-many relationship and continue to explore its connection to division in the context of grouping. We'll use this to begin to divide things into groups of 8. We'll use some of the same examples that we used for the multiplication video so that we can more easily see the connections to division. Both of these items have a 1 to 8 relationship. One pack contains 8 pens, and one box contains 8 macaroons. Let's imagine a company that manufactures pens was trying to work out how many packets they would need or produce for different quantities of pens. We've seen that one packet contains 8 pens, so if they have 8 pens, this will mean that they have just one packet. If we want to record this relationship in an equation, then we need to think about the information we have. We know the total number of pens. This was 8. We know the number of pens per group or per pack. This was also 8. So we're dividing the pens into groups of 8. And we're trying to work out how many groups we have, which in this case is packs of pens. 8 divided into groups of 8 gives us just one group or one pack. So our equation is 8 divided by 8 equals 1. What if there were 16 pens? Using facts that we are already confident with, we may just know that 16 is made up from 2 lots of 8. Therefore 16 divided into groups of 8 will give 2 groups. Pause the video and think about how you would record this in an equation before continuing. We know the total number of pens. This was 16. We know the number of pens per group. There were 8 pens per group. This was the same as before, so we're still dividing by 8. We're trying to figure out how many packs of 8 pens this would create. 16 divided by 8 equals 2, so 16 pens will create 2 packs of pens when the pens are grouped 8 per pack. What if there were 40 pens? Again, facts that we are already familiar with might come in useful here. If I'm confident with multiplying by 5, and am beginning to understand ideas like the fact that multiplication is commutative, I may just know that 8 multiplied by 5 is equal to 40. If you're not sure what the commutative property is, you may find it useful to explore those videos. If I link this to my knowledge of the connections between multiplication and division, I can use this to help me know that 40 divided by 8 is equal to 5. So if there are 40 pens and they are packaged into groups of 8 pens per pack, there will be 5 packs in total. 40 divided by 8 is equal to 5. What if there were 56 pens? Now this one might seem a little harder, but trying to break problems down into things that we already know can help. Pause the video and see if you can figure out how many packs 56 pens would create. Remember to try to think about prior knowledge that you might have that might help, even if you don't know the answer instantly. We'll talk through one strategy here, but this isn't the only way to solve this problem. Compare your own strategy to this one, thinking about the advantages and disadvantages of each one. There are lots of ways to decompose 56, that is, break it up into other groups of numbers. One way of decomposing it is into 16 and 40. So we could split the 56 pens into a group of 16 pens and a group of 40 pens. These numbers, 16 and 40, might look and sound familiar now, as they formed the first two problems that we did. We already worked out that 16 divided by 8 equals 2, and that 40 divided by 8 equals 5. We can therefore use these two known facts to help us work out the unknown problem here, which was how many packs of pens would be created from 56 pens if there were 8 per pack. The total number of pens was 56. We were dividing this into groups of 8 because there were 8 pens per pack, and this gave a total of 7 packs of pens. This is a combination of the 2 packs we worked out from the 16 pens and the 5 packs we worked out from the 40 pens. What if there were 112 pens? This is unlikely to be a fact that you just know. But again, pause for a moment and think about other knowledge you might have that would help you to work this problem out. So we're trying to figure out how many packs we would need to contain 112 pens if they're packaged into packs of 8. We'll shrink the pens for a moment just so that we have a bit more space to record our ideas. We'll talk through 2 strategies here that you might have used to solve this problem. You may have made a connection to previous problems that we already solved. The problem before involved 56 pens. When these were packed into groups of 8, this produced 7 packs. You may have noticed that 112, the number of pens we have here, is double the number of pens we had before. Double 50 is 100, and double 6 is 12, which means double 56 is 112. If we have double the number of pens, then you may have been able to reason that we would end up with double the number of packs. So 112 divided into groups of 8 would be 14 packs. If you hadn't made that connection between knowing that 112 was double the number of pens compared to 56, and therefore we would get double the number of packs, you may have used other known facts and decomposed 112 into smaller groups, like we did earlier with 56. For example, you might have thought of breaking 112 up into 80 and 32. When we're talking about groups of 8, 80 is a handy number to work with because 8 multiplied by 10 is 80. So 80 divided by 8 is equal to 10. At this stage, this is often a known fact for many people. So these 80 pens will produce 10 packs of pens if there are 8 per pack. You may also know from knowledge of your 4 times table that 8 multiplied by 4 equals 32, and therefore 32 divided by 8 is equal to 4. So these 32 pens will produce 4 packs if there are 8 pens per pack. So we decomposed 112 into 80 and 32. 32 divided by 8 equals 4. 80 divided by 8 equals 10. So 112, which is the total of 32 and 80, and also the total number of pens we started with, divided into groups of 8, will produce 14 packs of pens. We can see the 14 from the 2 problems we worked out before that gave us 4 packs of pens and 10 packs of pens. So 112 divided by 8 equals 14. So to summarise, we linked what we learnt about multiplication in the context of a one-to-many relationship and continued to explore its connection to division in the context of grouping. We used this to begin to divide things into groups of 8, making use of known facts where possible, as well as other connections and relationships we might have seen. There are other contexts for multiplication and division that we'll explore in other videos, but hopefully that's helped you get a better understanding of both multiplication and division in the context of one-to-many relationships and grouping.